The Prime Minister says he feels let down by Senator Patrick Brazeau. This morning, Brazeau was charged with sexual assault and assault. He has to take a leave of absence, and his actions are adding to the pressure on Stephen Harper to abolish the Senate. SHIRLEE Engel reports.
Free on bail, the now infamous Senator Patrick Brazeau dodges a media mob as he leaves the Gatineau, Quebec courthouse. Formally charged with assault and sexual assault.
Mr. Brazeau will have to furnish a deposit of $1,000 not to communicate with the victim.
Already kicked out of Conservative caucus, Brazeau will be placed on a forced leave of absence from the Senate. He'll only be allowed to appear once a session to maintain his status, and any spending by him or his office must be pre-approved by a Senate committee. After a brief stop at the home where he was arrested, he made his way to a residence 2 hours away in MANIWAKI.
And obviously the situation with Senator Brazeau is terrible. It is extremely appalling and disappointing, and we all feel very let down.
The Prime Minister says despite recent changes which make it easier to quickly remove senators convicted of crimes, it's up to the courts to deal with Brazeau first. But in Ottawa, the NDP called into question his judgment in appointing him in the first place.
That man that from the start has been pretty much in the good pocket of the Prime Minister to try to do sometimes the dirty work that he wanted to see. Now he's paying a bit of the price.
Brazeau will continue to collect his indexed salary of over $130,000 a year. The NDP estimates if he serves his entire term until 2049, his total compensation from taxpayers would be $7 million. He's not the first senator in trouble with the law, and once again, there are calls to get rid of the so-called chamber of sober second thought. But this expert says it's not that easy.
The Constitution requires a Senate, and to change the Senate from what it now is in almost any way, shape, or form requires the consent of the provinces.
The Tories have asked the Supreme Court to weigh in on their hopes of an elected Senate with limited terms.
The problem is that we haven't necessarily done a great job of marketing ourselves so people understand what we actually do.
The Senate must respect the fact that Brazeau is innocent until proven guilty. His next court appearance is scheduled for March 22nd. Robin?
SHIRLEE, Brazeau is also being investigated for questionable living expenses.
Yeah, today the Senate committee that looks into expenses announced that an external auditing firm, Deloitte, has been called in to investigate the living expenses and related expenses of Brazeau and two other senators, Conservative Mike Duffy, who claims to live in PEI, and Liberal Mac Harb, who calls Pembroke his home. Now, all of these men have been around the Ottawa area for some time, and questions have been raised about how much time they actually spend in those faraway places. So this firm is going to look into whether they can actually bill taxpayers for living expenses here in Ottawa. Back to you.
All right, thanks, SHIRLEE.